November 1944. The Hürtgen Forest, a place where maps lied, where trees exploded before men did, where the cold killed faster than bullets. This wasn't a battle meant for glory. There were no sweeping advances, no flags raised for the cameras, only slow, grinding pressure. And that pressure came from one force, the United States Army. While German units rotated exhausted men and issued experimental weapons, the Americans did something far more terrifying. They kept coming. Fresh units, endless ammunition, trucks that never stopped arriving, artillery that never truly went silent. To the men waiting in frozen trenches, it felt less like a battle and more like a machine turning. Reports from the forest tell the same story again and again. We are under constant artillery fire. Shells detonate in the treetops. The Americans appear to have everything. They weren't wrong, because this wasn't about individual bravery anymore. This was industrial warfare. Steel, fuel, food, and manpower, applied relentlessly. And once the machine started moving forward, it didn't care how new your rifle was. Day after day, night after night, the Americans didn't rush the forest. They worked it. When one unit was exhausted, another replaced it. When ammunition ran low, trucks arrived. When artillery barrels overheated, new guns took their place. For the men facing them, this was something entirely new. They weren't fighting soldiers anymore. They were fighting a system. American artillery didn't seek heroics. It sought pressure. Shells burst in the treetops, raining steel downward. Foxholes became traps. Trenches collapsed into frozen mud. And still, the guns kept firing. The forest echoed with a sound that never truly stopped. A low, distant thunder that meant only one thing. They are coming again. German reports described it clearly. The Americans had trucks, fuel, food, medical evacuation, replacement troops. They had time. And time in modern war is a weapon. Every hour the pressure continued, resistance thinned. Every day, another position was abandoned. Not because of cowardice, but because no human body can endure that kind of weight forever. This is how the American army advanced in Hurtgen. Not with speed, not with spectacle, but with inevitability. New rifles arrived at the front, stamped steel, shorter cartridges, modern weapons for a modern war. But weapons don't sleep in frozen trenches. Men do. The soldiers waiting in the forest noticed it immediately. The Americans looked different. Clean uniforms, full packs, faces not yet hollowed by weeks in the trees. They weren't reckless. They weren't shouting. They were calm. That calm was terrifying, because it meant they weren't desperate. They weren't rushing. They knew they would still be here tomorrow. Letters were read by dim candlelight. Hands shook from cold, not fear. Thoughts drifted home, because there was nowhere else to go. One soldier wrote that the Americans looked young, too young, and then added a line that would be repeated in multiple reports. They are being burned now too, not by hatred, not by ideology, by the same machine that had already consumed everyone else. The difference was simple. The American soldier could rotate out. He could be resupplied. He could be replaced. The men waiting in the forest could not. And slowly, they understood the truth. The rifle in their hands was new. The war against them was not. Snow covered the ground, then melted into mud. Mud froze again. Boots stuck. Weapons jammed. Visibility dropped to a few dozen yards. There were no clear lines. No open fields. Only trees. And in Hurtgen, the trees were weapons. American artillery learned quickly. Shells detonated high in the branches, turning wood into flying shrapnel. Men were wounded without ever seeing the enemy. Others were buried where they stood. Still, the advance continued. Slow, measured, relentless. Each position was tested, then pressed, then taken. No cheering, no speeches, just movement forward. The enemy tried to hold ground that no longer existed. Foxholes collapsed, trenches filled with ice water. Every day the forest took more from them. Every day, the Americans returned. Not faster, not louder, just closer. By December, many defenders understood something the maps never showed. This wasn't a place you could win. It was a place you endured, until you couldn't anymore. And the pressure never stopped. Some were stained with mud. Some were opened by sensors before they arrived. All of them carried the same fragile illusion that life somewhere else was still normal. One soldier read about a visit to a grave. Another about a sister bringing cake to the house. One letter hinted at something more. A child on the way. Names were discussed. Boys' names. Girls' names. Future plans written in careful handwriting. As if the war were just a temporary inconvenience. But in the Hürtgen Forest, the future felt abstract. Because survival was calculated in hours, while ink dried on paper hundreds of miles away. Artillery continued to fall through the trees. While someone at home imagined reunion, another position was being overrun. This was the quiet contrast of modern war. At home, hope. In the forest, pressure. And pressure always wins. The American advance did not pause for letters. It did not pause for dreams. It moved forward. And every step forward erased another plan that would never be completed. There was no single moment of victory. No dramatic collapse. Just the slow realization that resistance had limits. And the American army did not. Position by position, the line moved. Sometimes yards. Sometimes only a few steps. But it always moved forward. The men advancing through the forest didn't speak about destiny. They spoke about supplies, relief rotations, next objectives, professional soldiers doing what professional armies do best. They absorbed punishment, they adapted, and they continued. In the end, the forest did what it always does. It erased names. It swallowed plans. It left behind only mud, broken trees, and silence. But when the pressure finally lifted, one truth remained. The war was not decided by the newest rifle or the bravest speech. It was decided by the force that could sustain itself longer than the enemy could endure. In Hurtgen, that force was American. This file was never meant to be heroic. It was meant to be accurate. Because history doesn't remember who suffered the most. It remembers who was still standing when the forest finally fell silent.